Alright, what is up everybody? We are back. One other edition of Everyday Hoops. Hope you guys are having a good one. Today, we'll talk about the Clippers. The Clippers have gone off to a very slow start, a 4-10 start to the season. We're going to talk about it here in today's video. Thank you guys for the views and the videos and the shorts recently. I really appreciate it. If you do like the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all this stuff like that. I really appreciate it. Really upset a lot. Link to my Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff down in the description below. And yeah, don't waste any more of your time. Let's get right into it. So let's talk about the Clippers today. They've gone off to a 4-10 start to the season. They have lost 8 of their last 9 games. And right now, yeah, sitting at 12th in the Western Conference, sitting with teams like the Grizzlies and the Mavs and the Kings. It's been a very rough start to this Clippers season. Obviously, they always have high expectations, and especially after this offseason, which I thought was one of the best off seasons in the league. Bringing in John Collins and Brook Lopez and, re-signing James Harden. Like, I thought this was a pretty Bradley Beal they brought in. Like, I thought this was a very good offseason. I thought this team was going to be a really good team in the West and maybe could make a little bit of noise in the playoffs. Who knows? But it hasn't gone according to plan to start the season. Now they've only played 14 games. They have 68 more games left to play. Obviously, there's so much more time. We're not even at the end of November yet. So obviously, take all this with some kind of grain of salt, but also they're gonna have to start getting it going pretty soon. Looking at the things that they're doing right now, they have the 21st rated offense, the 25th rated defense, and our 22nd in net rating. A lot of their numbers don't look very good right now. Going through the team stats, first of all, they're 26th in points per game. They're 25th in rebounds, 28th in assists. So points, rebounds, assists are all in the bottom 5 of the league. They're 21st in turnovers. They average over 16 turnovers per game, which I think is a big problem for them. I feel like every time I watch them, they're always turning the ball over at an alarming rate. They're also 29th in pace because they have the oldest roster in the NBA. You look at their main rotation, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They have 8 players on the team that are over 30. And even some of the other rotational players are 28. They have 3 28-year-olds. Like most of this, they only have 3 players that are under 25. And those players don't even really play a lot. So they're dealing with a very old roster. So the pace obviously is slow. They're 29th at fast break points. Like, just offensively, they don't do too much very well. And then defensively, they've really not been good. I feel like the last couple of years, their defense has been very solid. It's been able to hold them off, especially last year. Last year when they had that big run without Kawhi Leonard and got off to a great start, they weren't a high-powered offense. They just defensively were going to lock you up, and then James Harden's going to take care of us on offense. This year, the defense has really fallen off a cliff. You look at their numbers, they give up a lot of threes. They're 27th in opponent three-pointers made, 21st in opponent three-point attempts, 26th in opponent three-point percentage. So if you're giving up almost 15 three-pointers made per game and teams are shooting 38% from 3 on you, you're not going to be able to win a lot of games. They're 23rd in opponent turnovers. They only force 14 turnovers. So they're turning the ball over 16 times and only forcing 14. So they're losing the turnover battle. They're 29th in opponent points off turnovers. Teams are averaging over 22 points per game off their turnovers. They're not getting back. 25th in opponent second chance points, 24th in opponent fast break points. So all of basically like the hustle and like the effort and pace categories, they're near the bottom of the league in. So they're just not being able to make the extra effort. They're giving up a lot of threes. They're giving up a lot of easy points in transition, second chance points, and especially when you don't have a high-powered offense to balance that out, it's been very bad. They also haven't been great in clutch games. Right now, they're 2-5 in clutch games this year. The last night they lost a tough one to the 76ers where they had control for a majority of the game, and then the Sixers came out and had a big fourth quarter. They got outscored 25-37 in the fourth quarter, the Clippers did. They shot 30% from the field in the quarter. They shot 6 for 20 from the field in the fourth quarter, while the Sixers were 6 for 14 for 22. They shot 63%. So, yeah, I mean, the fourth quarter Clippers were not great. They almost had as many fouls as field goals made in that fourth quarter. The only 2 clutch wins they have are they beat the Mavericks in double overtime and they beat the Pelicans when Kawhi had the game winner. So the only 2 wins they have in clutch games are against 2 of the worst teams in the league. Like, look at their clutch games. They lost to the Heat by 1 point, lost to the Hawks, lost to the Celtics on Sunday as well, lost to the Sixers. Like, they just have not been able to, they have not been a very, I mean, the 2 wins they have against good teams are against Phoenix and Portland. But over this stretch where they've lost 8 of their last 9, it's been rough. I mean, lost to Miami, lost to OKC, lost to Phoenix twice in a row, lost to Atlanta, lost to Denver, lost to Dallas, lost to Denver, lost to Boston, lost to Philly. The only win in this stretch is against the Mavericks, which it took double overtime. And it took James Harden to have to drop 40 for them to win. Like, it's been very rough. 30th in transition possessions, 28th in drives, 27th in drive points per game, 23rd in catch and shoot points per game. So they just can't. They're just not very good right now. I mean, James Harden is doing his thing. James Harden is playing like the guy we know he is. 26, 6 and 8, especially the last couple games. You look at James Harden in this last little stretch that he's had. The last 3 games, including the Dallas game, the Boston game, and the Philly game. In his last 3, he's averaging 35, 9, and 8 with a steal and a block on 40% shooting, 37% from 3 on almost 12 attempts. Like he's doing his thing right now, you know. But he's coming to play. Zubac has been okay, give you 16 and 10 with a block per game. The defense hasn't been as amazing, but they just haven't gotten a lot of production from a lot of other guys. Kawhi Leonard unfortunately is injured again, messed up his ankle. He's missed the last 8 games. When he was playing, he was okay. 24, 5 and 3, 2.5 steals, 50, 40, 96. Like he was doing his thing, but when you don't have Kawhi, it's tough. And it's funny because I was looking at different on and off number combinations, lineup numbers to really look at the team. And it's actually interesting when you look at the numbers. I'm on shots of PBP stats, so I can look at on and off combinations and stuff. With James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, and only the games in the 6 games that James Harden and Kawhi Leonard play together. With both of them on the court, they have a negative 9.5 net rating. With James Harden on the court and no Kawhi, they have a 36 net rating. With just Kawhi and no Harden, they have a negative 16 net rating. So they actually been better with James Harden and no Kawhi than with just Kawhi and no James Harden. That's just a weird thing. And looking at Kawhi Leonard specifically, in the minutes that he's played, they have a negative 11 net rating. So it's very, very interesting. And a 21 net rating when he's off the court for whatever reason. But also, their bench is not good. Their bench is not good at all. You look at some of these guys, I mean, Bradley Beal, unfortunately, he's out for the season. He only played in 6 games. In the 6 games he played, he averaged 8 points on 37% shooting from the field. He's out for the season with a hip injury. So you got rid of a guy like Norman Powell, who right now is putting up 26 points per game. It looks like he might make an all-star team to try to go get a Bradley Beal, which I don't think was a bad move, but it's not working out. You look at some of these other guys in this team. Bogdanovich is kind of finding something a little bit, but he's still shooting under 40% from the field this year and has only played in 8 games out of 14. It's like he's been struggling. Chris Dunn, we know what he can do defensively, but offensively, he's just a really tough piece to have. Brook Lopez is playing the least amount of minutes. He's only playing 15 minutes per game, and Brook Lopez is shooting 35% from 3, 6 points and 2 rebounds per game. You look at some of his, numbers on off the court. On the court, they have a negative 4 offensive rating. He looks very old. They're not rebounding. He's not rebounding the ball very well. He's not blocking shots or defending as much. And yeah, he just doesn't really have it. And then Chris Paul isn't playing anymore, really. And Chris Paul is shooting 26% from the field this year. And you look at his numbers on and off the court, it's actually ridiculous what his numbers are. And Chris Paul, in games that he's played, Chris Paul with them off the court, with Chris Paul not playing, they're negative 1.7 net rating. When Chris Paul plays in 114 minutes, they have a negative 15.3 net rating, an offensive rating of 94. So basically saying he's been horrible on the court, which, I mean, he's 40 years old. They should not be expecting Chris Paul to be an actual contribution for this team, and he's not. But the tough thing is they don't really have anybody else outside of those guys that can do much. I mean, right now, they have to give a minute. Kobe Sanders is starting now. Just, they had to throw him in the lineup, and he's actually been good. He's a second-round pick this year out of Nevada. I mean, he's giving you 7 points on 41% shooting, 38% from 3. His numbers look really good. And he brings a spark of energy. He's 23 years old. He's young. He shoots a 3 ball. He has been confident in himself. Like, he's doing it. Like Kobe Brown is getting minutes. Like Jordan Miller, when he was playing, was getting minutes. Like, Cam Christie's been getting minutes. Like, they just had to find something because a lot of these other guys have just not been good. Like Bogdanovich, Bradley Beal, Brook Lopez, Chris Paul. Just, haven't been able to do it. They don't really have a bench. Their bench is not good. I don't have right now the numbers up for bench like points per game for a team, but I'm sure they're going to be near the bottom because they don't do that. So when you don't have a bench, you have the oldest roster in the league. Your defense is one of the worst in the league. Your star player is out again. All that is a recipe for disaster, and that's what it's been. You look at some of the lineups they've been playing on the court. I've been looking at like different like, advanced lineups and stuff. Their worst lineup in terms of net rating is a lineup with Harden, Kawhi, Chris Dunn, Nick Batum, and Zubac. Like that sounds like a potential even a potential closing lineup with James Harden and Kawhi on the court together. Chris Dunn for defense. Nick Batum still can get it done a little bit, and Zubac. That lineup has a net rating of a negative 135.9 and has a 30 offensive rating. Like that lineup has been bad in the minutes, and they've played multiple games together with that lineup. That's just ridiculous. Like for some reason, numbers wise, the James Harden Kawhi Leonard pairing this year just hasn't looked good in terms of the numbers, what the numbers say. And yeah, again, they're dealing with a lot of injury. They're dealing with a lot of old players on the roster that can't really play anymore. And I mean, this is not a start you want, especially again when you have an older lineup on the court that a lot of these guys are susceptible to missing games. You want to have a fast start, so when you get to a certain point in the year, you can say, all right, Kawhi, you could take a break. Bradley Beal, you could take a break. Brook Lopez, you could take a break because you already built up enough, you know, wins that we're going to be in it. Like with the Pistons right now, the Pistons are 12-2. They got off to such a fast start. Cade Cunningham could rest for a couple games after a bad fall on his back, and they still been winning. Jalen Duren could sit a couple games, because they're so good. Like OKC is 14-1. OKC can sit some guys if they want to right now because they've been so good. That they can afford to, not say forfeit, but they can afford for their stars to miss out. And with the Clippers, that would be the ideal situation when you have a bunch of your key players being 30 plus with injury histories that you'd want a fast start to then, be able to protect some of these guys later down the line. Now, 4-10 start, you can't afford that out right now. You got to step on the gas. You're going to have to start putting together a little bit of a win streak to get things going. And watching this team on this court, there's just not a lot of hustle. There's not a lot of heart. There's just not a lot of production going on outside of like James Harden. Like James Harden still has to kind of carry this offensive load right now, which he's still been able to do at 36, 37 years old. James Harden is still like an all-star caliber player. That's insane. But he shouldn't have to do this still. He shouldn't have to do this still, and he has had to because there's not really much on this roster that, is helping him out. Especially like the defense is super disappointing too. Like the defense being that horrible is just crazy. When last year they were one of the better. Last year, look at this team. I'm trying to go. Last year they were the third best defense in the NBA, a 109.4 defensive rating. Like last year, offensively they were average. Defensively they were amazing. So like that was one of their like calling cards. This year it hasn't been that. Mainly in part to again Brook Lopez. It's a lot older now. Brook Lopez is 37. He can't really do that. Chris Paul, a lot older. Some of the guys they brought in are a lot older. Kawhi Leonard not out there on the court. Derrick Jones Jr. just got hurt now. He's gonna be out for a little while. They have to play a lot more young guys like Kobe Sanders and Jordan Miller that aren't really, or Cam Christie that, are still trying to get used to the NBA, defensively and all that. Like, Zubac hasn't been as amazing defensively as he was last year. It's just been really tough for this team. And, again, 68 games left to play. And Clippers have gone off to slow starts like this in the past. The last, I think, I was watching the Clipper game a couple games ago, and they had a graphic of like the last 3 seasons, and all those seasons have started under 500, and yet they've been able to, withstand that. So I'm not saying the season's over or the season's in jeopardy because again, 68 more games left to play. There's still a lot more time to figure things out. But this has been a start not like those others. Because this start has been a lot of close losses, a huge losing streak in the midst of it. If they didn't win that Dallas game in double overtime, they'd be on a 9-game losing streak right now and be near the bottom of the West with the Pelicans. Like things would be ultra bad. But right now, yeah. How they fix it? First, they need some, defensive intent. They need some intensity. They need some hustle and some heart in that locker room. They need some spark of energy somewhere. Who knows where that comes from? They need a spark of energy. They need Kawhi Leonard back. Obviously, that will make things a whole lot better. And if they can maybe find a nice bench player or two in a trade or in a buyout market situation way down the line, like they need something else because this bench is just not good. When James Harden comes off the court, I just don't have any faith in them to be able to compete right now. Like without James Harden, there's nothing here with the Clippers. So they're gonna need a lot of help. Um, the benefits of having an old roster, the you know the double edged sword of having so much experience and guys that can be ready. But again, also you see the other side of it where there's not gonna be a lot of pace. You're gonna lose a lot of those transition and those pace style possessions. You're gonna lose that one. You're gonna have some injuries. You're gonna have some guys. You don't want to push these guys so much in November, but right now with this start, you might have to. Like literally, this is the exact opposite start you want if you're a Clipper team. You want to start the year off really good, hit early, and then by February, March, you're able to say, all right, Kawhi, you don't have to push yourself. Bradley Beal, you don't have to push yourself. Chris Paul, don't push yourself. Brook Lopez, don't push yourself. Harden, don't push yourself. Let's let some of the young guys get some little bit of run. Let's sit a couple games here and there and control our destiny. Now, it's like we're gonna have to go on a 5-game win streak, to get back in this thing because the West is a gauntlet. It's like we're gonna have to really get things going. So yeah, we'll see what happens to the Clippers next, but not what you wanted to see from the Clippers to start this season. But yeah, it's gonna be it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you enjoyed the content around here, consider subscribing, liking, turn on notifications, doing all stuff like that. I really appreciate it. It really helps out a lot. And yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow.